standing, warrior looking type African in the African garb. This is symbolic of the manhood, the true manhood, being a warrior, standing up. But Mr. West is portraying himself as being in the corner. Keep in mind the theme from American Psycho. That's who he wants to be over there. But this is who he is.
Gotta keep it going, keep the loving going, keep it on the road. Only God knows if I'll be with you. Baby, I'm confused. You choose.
Why would you have to keep it on the low? And why are you confused? And what's wrong with being in love? And why is there a bad vibe? This clearly shows that there is not a normal relationship. Keep in mind the movie and the premise from American Psycho. We're going to go a little deeper. Now as we go, you're going to say, Brother Darrell, you out there on this. But I'm going to give you scripture to go check for yourself.
I'm not loving you where I wanted to, where I want to go. I don't need you. I've been down this road.
Where you want to go, he don't need you, but he's been down this road before, which implies been in homosexual relationships that he's been trying to keep on the low. But you will notice now there's not just 6 men or 4 men. You got a whole group of people, which represents a nation of homosexuality or pressure from the homosexual world. Watch this.
Too many times before, I'm not loving you where I wanted to.
This is the African male. This is representative of the manhood or the A-personality male. And you will note that all the other men are against him, but those men represent homosexuality.
So keep your love locked down, your love locked down, keeping your love locked down.
Now for the first time we see come into play, as you saw there, those colors. See those colors here in the background? Those are the same color sequence that was on the flying object. Why would a flying object come through the video out of the blue? And note, they are women. Note the leg posturing, representing femininhood. These are 2 women. But look at the size and stature and representative to this male. Why are they so large? And why are they this color? Let's go a little more before I begin to go into that. Note here, man upside down and spinning. This is a symbolization of an upside down world, which is supposed to be normal, and it's spinning out of control. Now you have this tall, gigantic woman looking at the male figure. Look how small it is. But what symbolization does this painting and this tall, gigantic size represent in this video? What is it representing about a love lockdown? Well, let's look at what that was that we saw earlier that had that funny coloring in it. It was a flying object. Mr. West, how does that relate to your video? What does that have to do? Well, I'm going to read something to you here out of the Bible. I might be able to see it. Let's see here. All right, chapter 5. It says, "Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked and beheld a flying roll. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll, and the length thereof 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. That is in the book of Zechariah, chapter 5. So, the man of God was asked, what did he see? And he said he see a flying roll. Now he said something. He said the length thereof was a certain amount of cubits, and the breadth was a certain amount of cubits. Well, A lot of people say that that was just a flying scroll or parchment that, they would read. But cubits indicate a size. And basically, what Zechariah was saying that he saw was 20 cubits, and the breadth was there, it was 10. He was saying that what he saw going through the air, flying, was a roll. But it was 30 feet long and almost 6.5 feet wide. That is basically the size of 2 car lengths and about a car in width. So that's not a scroll that he saw. It'd be the same thing if I said, look, I just saw a crop duster, and it was the wingspan was 30 feet wide and it was about 6 feet wide. That's basically what this man was saying back then. Then, if we go on a little further, he said he saw a flying roll. Now, look at what God says in verse 4 here. Let me see if I got it. It says, and I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of a thief. And as you can see, read on, and you can see what God says about what this actually is. But I got a little ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Look at verse 3. It's kind of hard to hold this book and try to do this at the same time. It says, then he said unto me, this is a curse. What was the curse? The flying roll that he seen going through the air. It is a curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth, and every one that stealeth it shall be cut off in the sides according. And it goes on. What I want to indicate the most is, it said that it goes out over the whole face of the earth. That means Russia, Canada, America, Puerto Rico, Dubai, all these places. This thing, what he saw, goes all over the earth, and it looks the same. But this is what it is. It's a curse. Then it goes on, and it says, then the angel, in verse 5, it says, then the angel that talked with me went forth and said unto me, lift up thine eyes and see what this that goeth forth. And I said, what is it? And he said, this is an ephah, or ephah, that goeth forth. He said, moreover, their resemblance is through all the earth. In other words, it looks the same throughout the whole earth. Again, and beheld, there lifted up a talent of lead. So it looked as if it was like lead, metal, okay? And there was, and this is a woman that sitteth in the midst of the ephah. All right, now, in the midst means therein. But we got to remember this thing was flying, and the man saw what looked like to be a woman in it. All right, it's flying, and in the midst of it, it had operators, and it was a woman in it. Verse 8, it says, and he said, this is wickedness. Now the first one was a curse. This one is wickedness. But it said something here. It said, it looks like a ephah. What is a ephah? I'm glad you asked. A ephah is the lid that goes on top of a bread basket. I'm going to give you a little time to think about it. It's a lid that goes on top of a bread basket. But they're flying, remember? So basically, it looks like a sauce.